Turn your dreams into reality with strategic thinking. Have you ever had one of those days where you're just dreaming about something big? Maybe it's starting a business, writing a book, or traveling the world. You get so excited about the possibilities, but then reality hits. The excitement fades, and you start thinking, how am I even supposed to make this happen? Sound familiar? I've been there. I've had those big dreams, full of energy and ambition, only to find myself stuck in the mud when it comes to actually turning those dreams into something real. But here's the thing. The problem isn't your dream. It's not about being not good enough or not lucky enough. The real issue lies in how we approach those dreams. Dreams are powerful. They give us direction and spark our passion, but they need something to ground them, to give them focus. That's where strategic thinking comes in. Strategic thinking isn't some fancy business term that's meant for CEOs or the ultra-successful. It's about breaking down those big dreams into manageable, actionable steps that you can actually achieve. It's about turning the idea of something into a plan. Think of it as having a map for the journey ahead. It makes the path forward clearer, and you're far less likely to get lost along the way. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can take your dreams and, instead of just hoping they happen someday, turn them into reality using simple but powerful strategies. It's not going to be about following a cookie-cutter formula or expecting overnight success. Instead, I'm going to show you how to think strategically and set yourself up for success in a way that feels natural, not overwhelming. So let's start with a simple question. How many times have you had a dream or goal, but you didn't take action? Maybe you've been saying to yourself, I'll get to it tomorrow, or I'm not sure where to start. I know that feeling. I've been there too. But one thing I've learned is that no dream, no matter how big, ever becomes reality unless you take consistent, thoughtful action toward it. And that's exactly what strategic thinking helps you with. Taking action, but in a way that makes sense. The first step to turning your dreams into reality is getting clear on your vision. And I don't just mean a general sense of, I want to be successful, or I want to be happy. No, you need to get specific. Think about it like this. If you were going on a road trip to a new city, you wouldn't just get in the car and drive aimlessly, right? You'd pull up a map or use GPS, figure out your destination, and then plan the best route to get there. The same goes for your dreams. The more detailed your vision, the easier it is to create a strategy that will actually take you from point A to point B. This step can be a little tough for some people because it requires really sitting with your thoughts and getting honest about what you want. But trust me, it's worth it. When you're crystal clear on your vision, it's like the fog lifts and you can start to see the path ahead with so much more confidence. And once you've got your vision in place, it's time to start thinking about how to break it down into actionable steps. This is where the magic of strategic thinking comes in. So how do we do that? How do we take this big, exciting vision and break it into smaller, manageable tasks that we can actually start working on? That's what we'll dive into next. All right, now that you've got a clear vision of your dream, it's time to turn it into something that's not just a wish or a vague hope, but a concrete, actionable plan. This is where many people get stuck. They have the vision, they feel motivated, but then they face the overwhelming question, how do I start? And that's where strategic thinking really shows its power. Let's break it down. Once you have that clear vision, the next step is to break it into smaller, achievable goals. I know, it sounds simple, but this is the key to making big dreams feel manageable. If you want to write a book, you don't just wake up and write an entire novel in one day. You don't even write a chapter in a single sitting. What you do is break it down into smaller, bite-sized tasks. Maybe it's writing 500 words a day or planning the outline for your first chapter. The smaller and more specific your goals are, the easier it will be to stay on track. Here's a little secret. Sometimes the hardest part of a dream is simply getting started. But by breaking things down, you eliminate that overwhelming feeling of, where do I even begin? You've got a specific task to tackle, and that makes it easier to dive in. For example, if you want to start a business, your first goal might not be launching a product. It might be creating a business plan or researching your target audience. Small, focused tasks will eventually add up to something big, and you'll feel progress every step of the way. Now let's talk about timing. You can have the best plan in the world, but without a solid timeline, things can easily get pushed aside. This is where having a strategic approach to time management can be a game changer. You've got to set realistic deadlines for each of those smaller goals. And here's the important part. Make sure those deadlines are flexible but firm. Life happens. You might miss a deadline or run into unexpected challenges. That's okay. What matters is that you're moving forward, even if it's at a slower pace than you initially anticipated. For example, when I decided to launch my own project, I set a deadline for when I wanted to have a rough draft of my work ready. Was I perfect about hitting that deadline? Nope. Did it matter? Not really. The key was that I kept moving forward, adjusting the timeline when necessary, but always making progress toward that big goal. Over time, I found that these small, incremental steps brought me closer to my dream. And before I knew it, I had reached a milestone I never thought possible. But timing isn't just about deadlines. It's also about prioritization. Sometimes we get so caught up in the excitement of our big dream that we want to do everything at once. And trust me, I've been there. I've tried to juggle multiple tasks, only to end up spreading myself too thin. The trick here is to figure out what matters most. What's going to move the needle? What's the one thing you can do today that will bring you closer to your dream? This is where strategic thinking helps you avoid burnout. Instead of tackling every single task at once, focus on the high-impact actions that will drive your progress. For example, when I was planning my own project, I focused first on research and understanding my audience, because that would help shape everything else. Once that was in place, I could move on to the next task, building content or marketing strategies. The key is to prioritize based on what's most important for reaching your goal. Doing so will keep you from feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of things that need to get done. As you break down your big dream, set timelines, and prioritize tasks, you'll find that things start to move. But this is just the beginning, because even with a solid plan in place, there's one more crucial element we need to explore. How do you stay on track when things get tough? How do you maintain that momentum when the going gets rough and doubt starts to creep in? That's something I'll talk about in the next part. But for now, let's focus on ensuring that you're not just dreaming big, but moving toward those dreams, one step at a time. So now you've got a clear vision. You've broken it down into smaller, manageable goals, and you've set deadlines to keep yourself on track. But what happens when the excitement starts to fade? What happens when you hit a roadblock? Or when things just don't seem to be progressing as fast as you imagined? That's where a lot of dreams get stuck. And I get it. It can be frustrating. You've got this big, beautiful vision, and yet the reality feels harder than you expected. But this is where strategic thinking shines again. The final key to turning your dreams into reality is building resilience and adaptability. Let's face it, even the best laid plans don't always go the way we expect. Maybe you missed a deadline, or your approach isn't working as well as you thought it would. Or maybe life just throws a curveball that throws everything out of whack. But that's okay. The best part about strategic thinking is that it doesn't just help you plan for success. It helps you plan for the bumps along the way. One of the first things I realized when working toward a dream is that setbacks aren't failures. They're simply part of the process. This mindset shift was a game changer for me. Instead of getting discouraged when things didn't go according to plan, I started to see obstacles as learning opportunities. It was like every mistake or setback was just a clue about how to adjust my strategy moving forward. And this is where adaptability becomes crucial. A big part of strategic thinking isn't just creating a plan, it's also being willing to adjust that plan as you go. When something doesn't work, instead of feeling defeated, look at it as feedback. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I tweak or improve? The more flexible you are with your approach, the quicker you'll be able to bounce back from setbacks and continue moving forward. For example, when I first started on my own project, I had a specific strategy in mind for how I was going to market it. I had my ideas about what would work, but after a couple of months, I realized that some of those strategies weren't getting the traction I had hoped for. Instead of throwing in the towel, I took a step back, evaluated what was working, and made changes. I explored new marketing tactics, redefined my audience's needs, and shifted my approach. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. And through that process, I discovered strategies that were far more effective than what I had originally planned. This ability to pivot when things aren't going as expected is one of the most powerful aspects of strategic thinking. In fact, I'd say it's one of the most underrated skills in achieving success. The reality is that no journey to success is a straight line. There will always be unexpected turns, bumps, and detours. But if you're able to pivot and adapt, you can keep moving toward your dream, even when the path isn't as clear as you thought it would be. And here's another important aspect of resilience. Celebrate your wins, big and small. In the hustle of trying to achieve something big, it's easy to forget to pause and acknowledge how far you've come. You might be so focused on the end goal that you miss the progress you've made along the way. But those small victories are crucial. They give you the energy and motivation to keep going. So whether you've crossed off one small task or you've made a big leap forward, take a moment to celebrate. It will fuel your momentum and remind you that progress is happening. Now, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. Turning your dreams into reality isn't about magic or waiting for the perfect moment. It's about taking consistent, strategic action and being willing to adapt along the way. When you combine a clear vision, broken down goals, realistic timelines, and the ability to bounce back from setbacks, you create a solid foundation for success. Remember, no dream is too big when you break it down into manageable pieces, and no obstacle is too great when you approach it strategically. Keep taking those small steps, stay flexible, and celebrate every bit of progress you make. Your dreams are waiting for you, and with the right mindset and strategy, you can absolutely make them a reality. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your dreams and how you're planning to turn them into reality. Drop a comment below to share your journey, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you want more tips on how to create the life you've always dreamed of. You've got this. Your future self will thank you for it. Keep believing, keep strategizing, and keep moving forward. I'll see you in the next video.